During the summer, we invite members of our community come and share their wisdom and share their experiences. And we're delighted tonight to welcome Shimrit Ben-Yair Schnittman to be our guest drasha this evening. She joined Beth Am in 2023 together with her husband, Yair Schnittman, and their three kids, Tor, who's almost 13, Lena, who's 10, and Sal, who's 6. Before coming to California in 2008, Shimrit lived in New York City and Boston and grew up in Israel. She loves reading, contemporary art, and most forms of exercise. I happened to look at your Pinterest and it says, this is what she says there. She calls herself an amateur mom, wife, and cook. I have a feeling, though, she's no amateur in any of those things. Also, her career, I thought I'd save that for the last because I also want to say something about that. She currently is a vice president at Google, leading the Google Photos and Google One teams. Now, that's really interesting, but I'm saying this to you. You may not go up to her afterwards and complain about Google Photos not working for you. Shimrit, we're honored to have you with us tonight. Brucha haba'ah.
Well, the rabbi stole my opening line, but no, it's okay. It's okay. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. Oh my gosh, what a special evening. I mean, I was already crying during the song, so it can only really go downhill from here. Hi, everyone. My name is Shimrit, and I'm so grateful to have joined the Beth Am community last year. My husband Yair and I live in Mountain View with our 3 kids, and like the rabbi said, I work at Google, where I lead Google Photos and Google One. And I was going to say that if you have any complaints, concerns, or want me to demo the products for you, I'm happy to do so. And I'm also the eldest of 6 siblings. And actually, I'm so proud to have my parents here tonight. They're visiting us from Israel. It's nice to see a few familiar faces in the audience. If it weren't for the camping trip this weekend, where all the kiddos are, I feel like there would have been a few more. But I'm sure Rabbi Heath will watch the recording. He had a lot of feedback on my writing. All right, so Rabbi Heath prompted me to speak about how I have been experiencing Beth Am as an Israeli, and so I thought that I would share some thoughts about that. So I grew up in Israel, and I grew up in Israel in a very secular environment. While being part of a community such as this wonderful community is a normal part of growing up Jewish in America, in Israel, there's actually a very large divide between secular and religious Jews. And even though I studied Bible, Tanakh, in high school, and I enjoyed it through a literary and a historical sense, that was the extent of my connection, really, to Judaism. In Israel, growing up, you're immersed in Judaism because in the Jewish parts of Israel, it's impossible not to be. The holidays are days off of school and work, so it's kind of around you. In that sense, it is enough. And I think that is one of the big differences that I saw. And so let me talk about some of those differences. I think you all know, many of you, all of you, most of you have been to Israel. You know that it's a very small country. It is the size of Rhode Island. And so everyone lives within driving distance of each other. People usually have more kids. And so you have many siblings, many uncles and aunts and cousins, and people also tend to have kids at a younger age, so there are plenty of grandparents and even great-grandparents around. I was so lucky that my great-grandparents actually had lived through the time that I was an adult and sadly only passed away in the past couple of years, but that was so special growing up. In Israel, all schools are public, and so everyone walks to their neighborhood school. And kids are independent, so they're spending time with neighbors and getting places on their own via public transportation. At 18, almost everyone goes to the army, and that's where I met my husband, Yair. And you form another community that you typically stay in touch with, Because in Israel, in the army, there is a very strong sense of purpose and mission and identity that forms through that service. And then maybe more tactically speaking, weekends in Israel, surprisingly, are shorter. And so you only really have Friday afternoon and Saturday for the weekend. Friday is a working day up until Shabbat gets in, and Sunday is a full working day. And so with this giant family that people typically had, definitely I did, holidays are kind of spent in the context of a family. Growing up, I really didn't feel the need for more people. In fact, I had a lot of people, it was a very full community. And in America, life for me and my small family here is actually very different. People typically have smaller families that are more spread out in distance and age. I'm already dreading the fact that my 3 kids may go to college in 3 different parts of the country, and I'm going to have to split myself 3 ways exactly so I can be with each of them. America is the land of individualism, with a very strong sense of carving out your path, and I think sometimes that is against the DNA of community. And then, I think when I reflect on America through the years, and this was definitely true through the 60s, there were very strong communities here, and even, through the establishing of the country. But I think today's virtual world with the internet has replaced a lot of those needs. With either in best case, sometimes communities online, and in worst case, just a lot of scrolling. And I think that this has been a big change that, in my mind, has created a void. So, like the rabbi said, we joined Beth Am earlier this year. We actually joined with a very specific and straightforward goal. Our son Tor is coming up on his bar mitzvah in November. And so I really wanted a place to have his bar mitzvah. It was a very specific, to-do on my to-do list to find a synagogue for Tor's bar mitzvah. And so I spoke to Sarah, who runs our youth ed programs, and we found a place. And that's it. I thought, I'm going to maybe be here a little bit for the bar mitzvah. I didn't really expect that it would be so much more than that. But as it happened, our first Sunday school service was on October 8th. And, that was just such an overwhelming and sad day. And I remember sitting in the sanctuary, for my first Beth Am service, and I'm hearing the kids singing. I'm hearing the kids singing Oseh Shalom. I'm hearing prayers for freeing the captives, and just crying. My daughters were making fun of me. I cry a lot. And, feeling like such an overwhelming sense of grief, but also a sense of gratitude not to be with that alone on such a difficult day. So, since then, we've spent a lot of time here, admittedly mostly with the B'nai Mitzvah program, because there's just a lot of programming, going on retreats, coming in for Sunday school, or getting ready for Tor's big day, which I can say with absolute certainty has been more work than organizing my own wedding. And the things that have stood out to me about Beth Am, which I'm incredibly grateful for, are really the engaged community, the Tikkun Olam projects. Our family had a chance, Yair had a chance to volunteer with our rehousing projects, and the very modern interpretation of the Bible. We had a parent-kid event, I forget what it was called, where we were reading a text together, and Rabbi Heath was asking, "What do you make of this text?" And one of the kids raised his hand, and he said, "Why was God being so harsh?" And Rabbi Heath engaged with that line of question and posed it back to the audience, and I remember feeling like, wow, what a profound way of talking and thinking about this. What a modern way of engaging with this. And I really appreciated that. And so I found the Beth Am community and what we experience here together to be one of the areas that was actually not available to me as a secular Jew in Israel. In Israel, being Jewish, being a practicing Jew is such a strong identity marker that it is sometimes fully quarantined to the religious. And at Betham, I have been able to find ways to bring meaning and holiness to our lives in a way that was not accessible to me before. Through the beauty of tefillah services like tonight's, as well as towards Bar Mitzvah journey, I found myself being overwhelmed with emotion that is hard to explain. I feel like I don't fully yet have words for it, only feelings. And what I've also realized is that even though I'm Israeli, who has a lot of Israeli friends, I'm trying to convince them to join Betham. It's a little hard. My children are American Jews with Israeli parents. I mean, that's already enough of a legacy to carry right there. But thankfully, we have so many talented therapists as part of our community. But in all seriousness, you know, it is important that my children are part of an extended community. It is important that they make sense together of what it means to be Jewish in today's America, especially in this time of heightened anti-Semitism and extreme polarization. I mean, I never knew that being Jewish or Israeli would be a political statement. But unfortunately, in today's world, it is. And I think we need the support of others to navigate that. So here we are in these beautiful hills of Los Altos. We are so lucky to live in this beautiful place, many of us supported by friends and families and extended families. And I would say that in the spirit of continued honesty, some Sunday mornings, it is hard to get my kids to Sunday school. Some bribing has been involved. iPad time has been extended. Multiple drop-offs are sometimes required. Usually, when 2 of my 3 kids are here, we consider it a success. But when my kids ask, why do we need to go? I tell them that it is important in life to be part of a bigger thing. It is important to form connections and practice traditions and celebrate life. It is important to be off-screen with people in real life, and it's okay for that to be a different pace and not instantly gratifying. And so here we are. So I will end today with a prayer that opened my journey in Betham, which the kids sang so angelically, and we're still praying for every day. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
That was, may I? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, Shimrit, I have good news and bad news.
Okay.
The good news is that we are delighted that you're part of our community and we're part of your community. That's the good news. The bad news is you have a lot more people coming to the bar mitzvah now.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna keep an eye out for all of you in the service.
The other thing I'll say is this, and I'm going to make a reference to Google Photos. I am amazed at the way the algorithms at work, because what it does, it creates community. When you see these photos come together, it's all about community. So thank you for giving us community each and every day.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Sol,